Hey, it's Mazzy, and this is Welcome to the Music Stupid. Not calling you stupid. It's about the music. Now, I do like well recorded records. Do like really good vinyl reproduction, but it doesn't always have to be all analog. It can be digital, it could be an old press, it could be a new press. It depends on the music and the particular recording. So again, this series, it's the music stupid is really comes down to the music. I will mention pressings when it's appropriate, but again, if you like the music, it's your ears, it's your room, it's your gear, it's you. Don't be swayed either way. Be influenced and be turned on to music from people like me. And, you know, I get turned on to music by people in the vinyl community, people on YouTube, friends, just just the world in general. I seek out new music. Now, I am showing no new music today, but my guess is there's someone out there that some of this music will be new to them. And it's again, I picked 5 records, not randomly. I thought this out. I don't really prepare unless I've forgotten something specifically, and so I want to make sure I get it right so I don't give you false information. Because if I give you false information, that's fake news, and you'll go tell people, and it'll become reality, even though it's not real. So, all right. First, I'm going to show a record that's Baroque pop, power pop, sunshine pop from 1967. And that's The Free Design Kites Are Free. I absolutely love this record. Now, think the association. Totally influenced by this band, I would think. Or actually, maybe not so much influence, but in the same period of time, that very up with people, wonderful harmonies, well-produced records. What's interesting about this, I didn't know about this band in 1967 when this album came out. This is their debut, The Free Design, and they were signed and produced by Enoch Light. You may know Enoch Light because in the late 50s, early 60s, he had a thing called Ping Pong Records. It's when bachelor pad stereo guys had these beautiful new hi-fi setups. Think Madman, think what's his name? Madman. Don Draper had that perfect stare, the cool apartment on Park Avenue in New York, and maybe the sunken living room. Nah. Anyway, beautiful sound system, far left, far right. Ping pong effects were the left-right effects of like bongos and drums, very percussive records. And Enoch Light was a master recording engineer, producer, arranger, and produced a series of those provocative percussion, pervasive percussion, a whole series of things. And of course, the whole bachelor pad thing exploded and really well recorded, like RCA Living Stereo. You know, some classical, some jazz, some pop. Well, Enoch Light had Command Records. He also had Project, and this is the debut. Very sunshine pop, amazing harmonies. And the opening track, which was a single, which again, I never heard in 1967. I didn't hear about these guys till well into the 1980s, I think. This is a reissue by, I believe this is by, Light in the Attic. Did a series of their records, and it's really good. There's a great designer. I did a little mini feature on a while back. Charles E. Murphy did a lot of these art direction covers for the Provocative Percussion series, for Enoch Light and Project. But again, okay, the music here. Very well produced, beautiful harmonies, octave, harmonic, tonations. Doesn't that sound cool? Me just saying that. I don't even know what I'm talking about there. I'm not a professional musician. But again, wonderful. There's some covers on here. They do a Beatles cover of Michelle. They also do 59th Street Bridge song, Feeling Groovy, Simon and Garfunkel. Of course, that was a hit not by Simon and Garfunkel. That was a hit by The Circle, a group that was managed by Brian Epstein. But so it's that kind of sunshiny, upbeat, all flowery, sunshiny, baroque. Love it, love it. Again, this is the reissue from Light in the Attic from, I'd say, 10 years ago. Sort of like that. But anyway, I love this record. If you like that description and you like really wonderful things. Now, having said that, this will sound fabulous on your stereo. I don't know if it's digital. I don't care. It sounds great either way. There you go. Okay, next. This is a record that was very popular from record store people in 1976, I think. It came out. Originally, it came out only as an import, a UK pressing. We got it in our stores as an import, and radio stations locally played it. FM stations, album-oriented radio would be called. And it didn't come out as an American pressing on Island until 2 years later, 1978. And that's 801 Live, a fantastic live album. This was a sort of a temporary off-project band put together by Phil Manzanera and Brian Eno, formerly from Roxy Music. Also has Bill McCormick, Francis Monkman, Simon Phillips, and Lloyd Watson. And it's a live record. They were really kind of a temporary side project group. But the key song on here that got a lot of radio play was TNK, obviously known to more people as Tomorrow Never Knows, the Lennon-McCartney song. John Lennon song, really. TNK. 6-minute version of it. Just really wonderful, very progressive. Influenced by progressive rock music. Somewhat psychedelic, but more on the prog side of things. Not even glammy like Roxy, but they also did songs from the solo albums of the time, like Phil Manzanera, Brian Eno, and the others. But synthesizer work. What's interesting about this is one of the early live records that was recorded directly into the mixing board. All the vocal mics and the gear, the guitar amps, were plugged and patched directly into the board, so they didn't use live microphones like most live recordings at the time. Just a little interesting side note. This is my original 1976 UK copy on Island Records, and it's just a wonderful, really wonderful rock and roll progressive. It's a cool record. 1976. Now this band is 1986. So 10 years later, and this is the Wooden Tops. They were a band from London. This is their first album. They had a few albums, and I did see them when they came through once. And what's interesting is they're one of those albums that their live shows are really nothing like the record. This record is very acoustic based. It's got some percussive things, maracas. But it's got a real acoustic sound. It sounds like an acoustic version of the Smiths. Sometimes the lead singer sounds a little like Morrissey. Sometimes I would maybe also compare him to 10,000 Maniacs without obviously the Natalie Merchant vocals. So they got a very kind of indie sound for 1986, but a really good record. It didn't do a lot in this country. They were signed to Rough Trade Records. I think actually Morrissey got them signed, so he was a fan of theirs. And again, some of their music reminds me a little like Smith's, not as clever, but again, live, they had a little more edge to them when I saw them live, and a little more electric, not all acoustic bass. But the Wooden Tops from London, few albums. This is the only, I think I have 2 of their CDs, but this is the only LP I got when it came out in 1986. I recommend it. It was on Columbia in America, Rough Trade in the UK. And it's a really well-recorded, good-sounding record. Columbia Records, Rough Trade Records. Is the UK version, country of origin, better? Maybe, but this sounds fantastic. Really well-recorded. All right. Now, let's talk about Yoko Ono. This is a record that I absolutely adore, and it's a difficult record. I remember when it came out. It's a difficult record to like initially, and maybe that's not the right word, but you may or may not know, Walking on Thin Ice, I think that's the best song Yoko's ever recorded, the best piece of music she's ever recorded. It's upbeat, it's danceable, it's post-punk, it's proto-punk. It's amazing John Lennon just guitar screech throughout it with this great bass rhythmy repetitive sound on here. This is a promo copy that I got from Geffen Records. This was the record, the sound, the music, the song that John and Yoko were mixing. And John, on the way home, had a cassette of this in his hand or in his pocket when he was killed. They finished this song, so it's probably one of the last songs that John Lennon ever heard. And it brings on a whole other meaning, Walking on Thin Ice for John. So this album came out and I was blown away. The end, it goes on for 6-7 minutes, this long version, maybe longer. It's an amazing song. It's a little beat poetry-esque, and it just explodes in your speakers. And if you blast this, it's amazing. It's kind of the same feeling I got from Kiss, Kiss, Kiss when I got that promo of that song back with Just Like Starting Over before Double Fantasy came out. Now, this is really wonderful. Of course, we know what happened on that fateful night. A year later, 1981, Yoko puts out this album. This is the album I want to showcase and talk about. Now, this is a crazy good record. Now, Yoko is not for everybody. There's been a revaluation in some sense of Yoko's music. Of course, Yoko influenced all these artists from Lena Lovitch to the B-52s to so many others. Sonic Youth, Kim Gordon and Thurston Moore, and a whole generation of artists that would record in the 1980s and 90s, indie artists, avant-garde artists, noise bands. And I can see some people don't like her voice and aren't fond of this, but this record came out, it was chilling, not only because of the music and the way, what she's writing about, what she's singing about. It's a very personal album. It's a reactionary album. It's a therapeutic album, I assume, for Yoko. But of course it has the bloody glasses that were not cleaned that John Lennon wore the night he was killed. Some didn't like that. Half glass of water. Some didn't like that. From the balcony, from the basically windowsill of her apartment in the Dakota looking over Central Park West on West 72nd Street in Central Park West. I have two copies. This is the promo copy I got from Geffen Records in the day. It opens up with Goodbye Sadness, a very slow ballad, very normal-like song for Yoko, but she did some very wonderful personal songs, and that's one of them. But Nobody Sees Me Like You Do, Dogtown, I Don't Know Why. I Don't Know Why is one of the most chilling songs on the album, and you can tell that she's just letting her grief out, almost like John did in Plastic Ono Band, the first P.O.B. album in 1970. She gets down her knees. Oh my God, a chilling song, a post-punk, proto-punk, intense piece of music. Toy Boat, very commercially innocent, sad, gorgeous record. One of my favorite Yoko Ono records. I love her early albums, Approximate Universe, Plastic Ono Band. This is very accessible for Yoko, for some people. And I think it's a wonderful album. There is a season that never passes, and that is the season of Glass. In here, there's a promo. Of course, whatever you think or not, this got a 4-star by Stephen Holden in Rolling Stone magazine. It's a fantastic, brutally honest, personal record. Yoko Ono, 1981. Now, lastly, better cut that off right there. You've heard that before, haven't you? I think everyone here has heard that. That is Anton Karas, zither player, soundtrack to The Third Man. Carol Reed film, one of my all-time favorite films, of course, with Joseph Cotten and Orson Welles. Great thriller, great surreal sort of thriller, shot in Vienna. And that's the Third Man theme that swept the world and got people into the zither. Zither is a stringed instrument, almost a little bit like a hammered, a combination of a hammered dulcimer, something in the same family, auto harp, a lute. I mean, they're all kind of related. It's, I think, an Austrian-German instrument, but the zither comes obviously from a German word meaning zither. I don't know what it means. Fantastic film. You have to see this film. Beautiful black and white. One of the great British films of all time. And The Third Man, not to be confused with Jack White's record label. I play that because I do not have the soundtrack, which I love to get. I don't have the Anton Karas version. But in the 70s, I picked up this working in the record store I worked in. This is a 70s reissue of an album originally called Hi-Fi Zither. This is by a German-born artist who grew up in America called Ruth Welcome. She was probably the premier American zither player. I don't know how many zither players there were, but this is a great collection. This was I think this is somewhat of a budget, but it includes things like Fascination, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes, Stardust, covers of songs, but it opens up, of course, with the theme from The Third Man. I think there's a law in the world. If you do a zither album, you must perform the theme from The Third Man, and she does it really well. So again, this is a 70s version. It's not about the audiophile. It's just a really great mood piece, and I love this record. This is one of those records we would put on in the store, and people would buy it because they didn't really know, where do I get a zither album? Unless they know or knew of the Carol Reed film with Orson Welles and Joseph Cotten. Fantastic film, Third Man. Anyway, that is the latest edition of It's the Music Stupid. We're all stupid, maybe. You know what that comes from? If you don't, well, go back and watch the earlier versions of this. Thanks for watching. Greatly appreciate it. Subscribe if you can. Push that button, and Mazzy loves you. See you next time.